Halfway through the ninth wedding, David Miller ran away again. All because the poor junior he sponsored got water in her ear while washing her hair. Without a second thought, he abandoned me to care for her and rushed to get a marriage certificate. That night, the junior updated her Instagram. From now on, we're a family of 3. David Miller's phone rang immediately. Jessica's pregnant, and I feel bad you chased me for 5 years. So, I've decided to give you a chance to be a postpartum baby nurse. It's perfect. You can transfer all the property and shares under your name to compensate Jessica. Get rid of that short fuse of yours, and be more mature like Jessica. Also, go get an contraceptive implant. After the baby is born, you'll write a will for the child to inherit the Davis Enterprises. That's the only way I'll let you stay by my side. I sneered and hung up the phone. A twice-married man dreaming of seizing the property of the daughter of Coastal Haven's wealthiest family. I immediately had my assistant search for suitable find a match across the entire internet. 3 days later, my assistant sent me the photos of the candidates. As soon as I arrived at the agreed location, I saw David Miller and Jessica chin-flanked by people. Seeing me appear, his friends nearby were banging the table and laughing loudly. Pay up. I won the bet. It's only been 3 days, and our Miss Davis came running back / couldn't stay away. David Miller casually caressed Jessica Chen's waist, slowly raising his eyes with a cold smirk. Sarah Davis, who gave you the courage to hang up on me? If it weren't for Jessica pleading for you, do you think a pushover like you would even get a chance to see me? Hurry up and get down on your knees and thank Jessica. And while you're at it, give Jessica the diamond tiara your father bought. The tiara was a wedding gift my father had prepared for me. In the past, to make David Miller happy, I would He surely handed it over with both hands. We had dated for 6 years, and I did everything David Miller asked one by one. Jessica's clothes were stained. He made me wash them by hand. He and Jessica were at a hotel. He asked me to bring them condoms, but now I didn't want to be a pushover anymore. I said indifferently, "Move aside. I'm not looking for you." David Miller slammed the wine glass in his hand heavily onto the ground and sneered. A pushover who doesn't know her place, daring to act high and mighty / play hard to get with me. I'm giving you a chance now. Jessica and I got our marriage certificate, and we've had a celebration / reception going on here for 3 days. I'm giving you a chance to pay the bill / food deal. He then pulled out a thick stack of receipts from his chest and threw them in my face. Pay the bill / food deal for the wedding gifts I got for Jessica, and only then will I let you sit at the table today. Jessica Chin shyly buried her head in David Miller's arms, pouting and acting spoiled / being cutesy. "Oh, David," she cooed. "I told you not to buy me so much. It's too wasteful. It's not easy for you to make money." David Miller gently rubbed Jessica Chen's head, glancing at me with impatience. Our Jessica is the most considerate. Not like some spoiled rich girl / spendthrift who only knows how to waste money. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Jessica Chin righteously accused me. "Sarah, aren't you going to pick up these receipts? David works so hard every day to earn money and support you. You have so much short fuse and don't show any consideration for him." I sneered inwardly. A pair of ingrate / ungrateful leeches who I supported turning around and accusing me. I glanced down. The scattered receipts added up to about 1 billion. I laughed mockingly to myself. In their eyes, I was just a convenient ATM / cash machine. The people around immediately urged me, "What's wrong with spending a little money for David?" Anyway, the Davis family money is all David's. David is really resourceful / knows how to handle people, treating a Miss Davis like this, ordering around like a servant. "David, why don't you teach us how to make the daughter of Coastal Haven's wealthiest family so obedient?" David Miller couldn't help but smile, his tone finding humility. "Her? She's like a leech / can't get rid of me, just clings on. Can't shake her off. She's only got a good figure and is more obedient than a dog. Otherwise, why would I be interested in her?" Others glanced at my chest and laughed with ill intent. I watched this group of clowns / idiots with cold eyes, my desire to stay dwindling. David Miller frowned slightly, looking at me smugly. I knew he was waiting for me to show weakness and beg. But this time, even looking at him for an extra second felt disgusting. I simply turned and left, ignoring David Miller's furious voice. Having no desire to meet the man my assistant had arranged, I let her handle everything. I went to the mall and indulged in some shopping. In the past, I only went to the mall to buy luxury goods for David Miller, but now I just wanted to enjoy myself. As soon as I got home, there was a crashing sound coming from the yard. The furniture my mother designed for me when she was alive was being thrown out like trash. I immediately spoke up to question them. "Stop. What are you doing?" The butler replied, "Young Master Miller said he wanted to redecorate the marital home, so he told us to throw away this outdated furniture. Put it all back where it was immediately." The staff exchanged glances, a hint of hesitation on their faces. I understood immediately. It was my fault for being too lenient with David Miller before. Now, even my own staff didn't take me seriously. Thinking this, I quickened my pace and walked into the living room. David Miller was talking intimately with Jessica Chin. Once this house is torn down, we'll design a huge nursery/room for expectant mother for our Princess Jessica and turn Sarah Davis's room into a nursery. David, you're so good to me, but what about Sarah? That pushover. Let her sleep on the floor by the door. It'll be convenient for her to take care of you later. Seeing the scene that was about to turn inappropriate, I interrupted with a cold voice. David Miller, did you get my permission? Jessica Chin gasped, burying her head in David Miller's arms shyly. David Miller held Jessica Chin, his eyes full of impatience. What are you throwing a short fuse about? This house is your dowry anyway. Redecorating it now will make it easier for Jessica to carry the baby. Jessica Chin tugged on David Miller's hand, looking wronged. It's okay, David. Miss Davis doesn't want me to live here. I'll just leave. I want to earn money to buy a house with my own efforts so David can live with me. David Miller was pleased to hear this and kissed her heavily. Then he looked at me mockingly. Sarah Davis, if you weren't like a leech/can't get rid of me, begging me every day, I wouldn't have moved in here. Hurry up and clean up the bedroom. Jessica and I are staying the night. I glanced coldly at David Miller, my voice icy. Now, get out of my house. Perhaps because it was the first time I had been so cold, David Miller's arm around Jessica Chin paused. He looked up at me, his eyes full of surprise, which quickly turned to anger. Sarah Davis, who do you think you are? You're just a pushover chasing after me. How dare you talk to me in that tone? Jessica Chin also looked surprised, pouting and speaking up for David Miller. Miss Davis, David has taken care of you for so many years, and now you're kicking him out. You're really an ingrate/ungrateful leech. For so many years, I had handled David Miller's food, clothing, housing, and transportation. I was too good to him, making him forget his place. I glared coldly at each two of them, gritting my teeth and emphasizing again. Butler, show these two out. The butler heard my voice, but hesitated along with the staff. Hurry up and kick these two out. Only then did the staff scramble to usher David Miller out. Seeing me so assertive, David Miller's chest rose and fell, clearly unaccustomed to it. Jessica Chin tugged on his arm, pretending to explain for me. Miss Davis wasn't taught these manners of hospitality when she was young. That's why she's so arrogant and bossy. I really feel sorry for you, brother. Putting up with her for so long. He glared at me, pulled Jessica Chin along, and stormed out. Catching sight of a picture frame on the wall, he casually took it down and smashed it to pieces. Instantly, blood rushed to my head, buzzing. David Miller looked at me smugly. Since your mother didn't teach you how to respect people, I will. You think you can just act like this? On the day of your annual company gala/event, even if you kneel and beg for forgiveness, I won't forgive you. My fingertips turned white from clenching, and I picked up a nearby chair and threw it at him. Get out. He was enraged by my glare, grabbed my neck, and slapped me. I fell back hard, my forehead hitting the corner of the table, sending a piercing pain through me. In a haze, David Miller reached out his hand to me. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in the hospital bed. David Miller was by my side, flipping through a document. Seeing me wake up, a hint of disgust flashed in his eyes, and he gently fed me some porridge/soup or replaced with light Western food like chicken broth. I know you were jealous. That's why you deliberately drove me away. Don't worry. Even if I marry Jessica, I'll still keep a place for you in my heart. It's better for the three of us to get along well than anything else. In the past, no matter what David Miller did, I would only nod in agreement. Now, I just found David Miller and Creasy. Ingly shameless, spending my money, living in my house, and even making me buy gifts for the other woman. Smelling the perfume on David Miller, I instinctively reached out and pushed the bowl away. Porridge/soup or replaced with light Western food like chicken broth splashed all over him. David Miller's face turned grim, suppressing the impatience in his eyes. Sarah, stop throwing a short fuse. I've already talked to Jessica. You'll buy her a house and we'll live separately. I'll spend Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays with you, and the rest of the days with Jessica. After all, the baby in Jessica's belly is the heir to the Davis Enterprises. I need to spend an extra day with her. Hearing these shameless words, I pulled my lips into a speechless smile, my voice flat. No need. You can just go be with Jessica Chin. David Miller forced a smile and tried to reach out to comfort me, but I dodged him and his hand froze in midair. This was the first time I had openly avoided his touch. In the past, when I had a little short fuse, all he had to do was pat my head and I would happily sort myself out. He awkwardly put down his hand, frowned, and handed me the document beside him. Perfect. Since you're awake, sign this document. I took it and looked through it carefully. It was a stock transfer agreement. David Miller wanted me to give him all the shares under my name. David Miller's confident guarantee echoed in my ears. Don't worry. As long as you transfer the shares to me, I'll cover your future living expenses. I'll give you $1,000 a month for expenses to help with household costs, and you can buy some clothes, makeup, jewelry you like. I glanced at the plastic beads he was wearing, which he got for 9.9 yuan with free shipping. So from now on, I'll wear junk like the plastic beads you have on, the kind that aren't even sold at street stalls. David Miller glared at me angrily. What is a Miss Davis like? You know, Jay Saika earned this money herself working part-time. It's her heartfelt gift. Forget it. There's no explaining anything to a useless freeloader like you. He waved his hand, then urged impatiently with a cold face. Hurry up and sign. Don't make me late for my date with Jessica. I scoffed, tore the contract/agreement in my hand into pieces, and threw them in his face. I won't sign. A vein throbbed on David Miller's forehead, and he pointed at me, his voice trembling with rage. Fine, Sarah Davis, if you keep throwing a short fuse. Don't blame me for posting your private videos online. My face turned pale, and I bit my lower lip lightly. To make David Miller happy, I had let him persuade me to film many private videos. He had promised to be good to me forever. Now those pieces of evidence I thought represented love had become tools for him to threaten me. My heart, which had seemed numb, ached again. I looked away, which only fueled David Miller's arrogant fire. As long as you cooperate after Jessica gives birth, you can be my mistress. I didn't understand. Even now, David Miller was still dreaming of having both women. I couldn't help but spit at him, gritting my teeth. Dream on. Get out. After David Miller left, I collapsed onto the bed. My phone rang. My assistant sent me a photo of my newly appointed fiancé. I glanced at it and told my assistant to handle everything. I wanted to see the marriage certificate at the annual company gala/event and instructed her on the relevant matters for the event. At the last auction event of the annual company gala/event, David Miller arrived late with Jessica Chin. Everyone rushed to surround them, leaving me, the legitimate Miss Davis, ignored. David Miller glanced at me smugly, accepting the congratulations with an arrogant/haughty air. As it was about to end, David Miller raised his right hand and shouted loudly, "Wait a minute. I have one more item/piece. It will definitely be impressive/stand out." Others echoed him. Young Master Miller's item is definitely a big surprise, but what about the price? David Miller smiled and shook his head with a hint of mystery. Not much, just $6. He looked at me smugly as if waiting for me to beg for forgiveness. I showed no change in expression and turned to walk towards the corner. He walked towards me with Jessica Chin, arrogant/haughty, his tone carrying a hint of like giving charity. As long as you sign the stock transfer agreement, I'll no need do as you please. My interruption enraged David Miller. He frowned/grimaced and gave a signal/nodded to the host. Witnessing/seeing all this, I watched with indifference. The host struck the gavel once, making exaggerated movements/dramatic gestures. Ladies and gentlemen, at the request of young Master Miller, we'll keep the last auction item a mystery, but I can tell you that it's a private collection of Miss Davis, definitely worth more than the price/a steal. The gavel fell again for only $6. You can receive a mystery gift from Miss Davis. Others rushed towards the stage, eagerly bidding up the price. I bid $7. Go away. Go away. I bid $10. David Miller's gaze returned to me. Seeing my expression unchanged, he spoke up to provoke me. Sarah Davis, if you kneel and beg for forgiveness right now, I'll cancel this auction immediately. Jessica Chin also chimed in beside him in a high-pitched voice. Miss Davis, hurry and deeply apologized/beg for forgiveness to David, and hell forgive you. I scoffed/sneered and turned to leave without looking back. The atmosphere grew more heated/excited, and David Miller's face turned darker and darker. At the peak moment/just as the excitement reached its height, a clear male voice interrupted. A voice cut through the noise/the lights came up. Following the sound, a tall, handsome guy of 190 centimeters walked. In holding a marriage certificate, my assistant jogged in behind him and nodded at me. I smiled/smirked, took the man's hand, and announced to everyone, "Excuse me, I'd like to introduce my husband." Silence fell, and I faintly heard David Miller's ragged breathing. He rushed over and grabbed my hand, glaring at me. "This isn't real. You love me. You must be lying to me." Before I could speak, the man beside me pulled David Miller away, shielding me/stepping in front of me. "Sir, please don't bother my wife. If you have a problem, deal with me/come at me." David Miller shook off his hand, his eyes readied/angry as he roared at him. "Who do you think you are/what are you? How dare you stop block me?" The man in front of me just frowned slightly and unfolded the marriage certificate in his hand. I, Ryan Harris, am Sarah's current husband. Others covered their mouths and snickered, repeatedly sizing up sleuking over David Miller. So, young Master Miller was the other man. I said, Miss Davis is so accomplished/wonderful. Why would she fall for someone who's an heir from a family that went broke? Not only is he broke, but apparently Miss Davis supported him/took care of him financially. He's clearly an ingrate/ungrateful leech. The constant sarcastic remarks fell into David Miller's ears, making his body froze and his face flushed red. He frowned deeply, urgently pressing/hurriedly urging me. Sarah, stop joking. Quickly tell them the marriage certificate is fake. I looked at him calmly. Even now, David Miller still wouldn't accept reality. What made him think that after hurting me so many times, I would still love him as before? I slowly curled my lips into a sarcastic smile at him. The marriage certificate is real, and Ryan Harris is my current husband. And you are, just as they said, a moocher/gold digger who only knows how to ask for money. David Miller pursed his thin lips, shaking his head in disbelief. Impossible. You said you'd love me forever. How could you marry some random guy from nowhere/this nobody? He pointed at Ryan Harris, looking at him contemptuously. Just a man like this, besides having a handsome face. What does he have that's better than me? He reeks of poverty/has a cheap look about him. Even if you were hiring an actor, you should find someone classy/sophisticated. I shook my head. No need. Starting from the 10th time you left me at the altar, I decided to let you and Jessica be together. I wish you both forever and always a lifetime together. As for who Ryan is, you don't need to worry about it. Just as I was about to pull Ryan Harris away, he signaled me to stop and clapped his hands. Immediately, a group of people came in carrying red presentation platters/wooden trays. When I saw what was on them, I was astonished. Huge pearls the size of robin's eggs, sparkling pink diamonds, vivid emeralds. All of them were priceless treasures/invaluable jewels. Ryan Harris took my hand, looking at me with tender eyes. Time was a bit tight, so I could only prepare these as betrothal gifts/engagement gifts for now. Are you satisfied, my darling/my love? I looked up and met his gaze, startled by the deep affection in his eyes. Although we had just met today, I had a strong sense of familiarity. It felt as if we had known each other for a long time. Looking at the glittering jewels, I raised an eyebrow, feeling satisfied. No woman could resist the allure of jewels. Moreover, in the years I was with David Miller, he never gave me a single decent gift. Ryan Harris's gift perfectly filled the regrets I had in that relationship. David Miller's face was full of disbelief, and he was muttering, No, this is impossible. These must be fake, Sarah. He's definitely lying to you. Just then, a gasp went through the crowd. I knew that man looked familiar. Isn't that the head of the prominent Harris family from Metropolis Heights? I was also greatly surprised. The Harris family? The legendary Harris family from Metropolis Heights, said to be all-powerful/controls everything and incredibly wealthy/rich as cuz. I raised an eyebrow. My gaze became sharper as I looked at Ryan Harris. Ryan Harris's face was unchanged/poker face. His eyes only grew more tender. Sarah, I came for you. The man's eyes were full of tenderness/us, so tender it was overwhelming as he looked at me. I had never seen such an expression on David Miller's face. It was clear there was a difference between love and not love. My cheeks flushed slightly, and I awkwardly turned away. Explain it to me after this is over. Meanwhile, David Miller was still roaring/yelling. I gestured to the bodyguards. The bodyguards immediately threw David Miller out. Under the mocking gazes of the crowd, he cursed/swore and quickly left. Jessica Chin had also slipped away quietly. At some point, I brought Ryan Harris back to the Davis estate/the house. The furniture that David Miller had moved out was put back in its original place, making it look familiar/as I remembered. As soon as Ryan Harris entered, he praised the decor/style. Your mother designed this marital home for you, didn't she? It looks just like you'd like it. I frowned, my voice urgent. You know my mother? How could you know her? Not only do I know your mother, I know you, too. After all, I even held you when you were little. What he said surprised me even more, as I had no memory of him ever being around. Ryan Harris smiled at me and told me everything he knew. His mother and my mother were best friends, and they had arranged for us to be engaged when we were children. However, the Harris family's business moved overseas, and the two families rarely saw each other again. My mother had kept sharing my recent news with the Harris family until she passed away. I was still young then, and my father was always traveling for business, so the matter was put aside. Before I could fully process all this, Ryan Harris dropped another bombshell. When you were 20, I came to check on you and happened to find someone bullying you, so I rushed in and saved you. I just didn't expect that person had a knife. I was stabbed and became a vegetative state until I recently woke up. His words made my heart stop / felt a jolt in my chest, and I sank back onto the sofa. At that time, I was attacked by my father's enemies and was injured and unconscious. When I woke up, it was David Miller who was by my side, showing concern / caring for me. I was lost myself in his false tenderness for a while and fell in love with him. Thinking about it now, I realized I had loved the wrong person. Ryan Harris frowned, crouching in front of me. What's wrong? Aren't you feeling well? I slowly looked up at Ryan Harris. After some time, Ryan Harris's face slowly turned red, and he looked away. Don't look at me like that. I can't resist you. I reached out my hands and hugged him around the waist. I felt grateful in my heart that it wasn't too late. Ryan Harris's body stiffened. Then he hugged me back, gently patting my back. I arrived too late. That's why you suffered so much. A sudden roar interrupted my moment with Ryan Harris. Let go of her. David Miller was standing at the door, looking at Ryan Harris and the angrily / fuming. Ryan Harris, let go of Sarah. With that, he rushed up to Ryan Harris and swung a punch fiercely. But Ryan Harris grabbed / seized it and kicked him away / sent him flying with a kick. He braced himself on the floor, looking up and staring intently at me. Sarah, I don't believe you married this strange man / this man I don't know. You must be lying to me. Just apologize to me, and I'll divorce Jessica immediately and marry you. After all, you're damaged goods now. Who else would want you? Even now, David Miller was still as overconfident as ever. Believing that I couldn't live without him my whole life, I picked up the teacup / cup on the table and threw it at him. Are you woke up yet / get it now? David Miller. The biggest regret of my life is not finding out who really saved me back then. As soon as I said that, a hint of guilt flashed in David Miller's eyes, but he feigned shock. Sarah, what are you talking about? It was me who chased away the kidnappers for you, and I was the one who took care of you in the hospital for 3 days and 3 nights. Seeing David Miller still lying to me, I shook my head. It wasn't you. You're just a thief. You stole Ryan's credit. The Miller family went bankrupt. You needed to find someone else to latch on to / find a new target. And I was the unlucky one / poor soul you chose. After I fell in love with you, you kept humiliating and tormenting me, emotionally manipulated and abused me. At the time, I was just blind / foolish, but now I've woken up / I see things clearly now. I hope you don't ever show your face around me again. With every word I spoke, David Miller's face grew paler. His eyes were full of regret, and his shoulders slumped powerlessly. I just watched him indifferently and signaled the butler to show him out. I thought I had made myself clear, and that David Miller would have the sense of self-awareness / know his place and not bother me again. Unexpectedly, he sent me a video. In the video was a woman with disheveled hair wearing a dirty dress, kept kneeling and begging for mercy. Miss Davis, I was wrong. I'm worthless. I deliberately seduced David. It's all my fault. I narrowed my eyes and recognized the woman as Jessica Chin. Her face was covered in blood scabs, and her slightly bulging stomach had flattened. Just then, David Miller appeared at the door looking disheveled and defeated. He held 2 divorce papers / and fawningly / attempting to please offer them to me. Sarah, I was wrong. Before I didn't realize how important you were to me. Now I've thought it through, and it was all because Jessica Chin instigated / manipulated me. I've punished her severely and divorced her. As long as you agree to divorce Ryan Harris, I don't care that you've been married before, and we can get married right away. Seeing David Miller's shameless appearance / behavior, I felt a wave of nausea. I knocked the divorce papers / out of his hand, my voice cold. Are you completely shameless / do you have no shame using a woman to hide your deceit? You are truly disgusting. Aren't you just after the Davis family money / fortune? Stop acting all innocent. After all, without me, who would be your sucker / chump? I've already told you very clearly. Now get out of my sight / get lost. I signaled the butler, who immediately had men drag him up and threw him out the door. Ryan Harris leaned against the door frame, looking at me with a look of admiration. My wife is so cute even when she's angry. The anger that David Miller had stirred up dissipated / vanished instantly, and my furrowed brow relaxed. Only I didn't expect David Miller to find outside help / get someone to intervene. The outside help was my father. My father was always traveling for business and rarely came back. I froze the moment my father walked in with David Miller. I hadn't expected David Miller to be able to contact him. Ryan Harris sprang up from the sofa like a spring, standing respectfully beside me. David Miller seized the opportunity to exaggerate / add fuel to the fire beside my father. Uncle, this some random guy from nowhere / this nobody tricked Sarah into marrying him. It must be for your Davis family fortune. You must talk some sense into Sarah and tell her not to be fooled by someone with bad intentions. Ryan Harris stood his ground respectfully / was dignified and gave a slight nod. Mr. Davis. Hello, I'm Ryan Harris. The air grew still / silent. E fell. My father kept staring at Ryan Harris. If it were anyone else, they would have broken out in a cold sweat and had trembling legs under my father's gaze. But Ryan Harris looked normal / had an unchanged expression, his eyes showing only respect for elders. My father then lowered his intense gaze and snorted coldly.
He nodded at me.
You've got good taste / good judgment this time. David Miller's face changed dramatically upon hearing this. His voice trembling slightly. Uncle. He's clearly a liar. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tricked Sarah into marrying him right after meeting her. My father's gaze darkened, and he looked at him like he was an idiot. Is this your place to speak? David Miller dared not speak immediately, shivering / feeling a jolt under my father's gaze, but he forced back his fear and explained to my father, Uncle, I'm just worried about Sarah. My father looked at him coldly, and David Miller was so guilty he dared not breathe. I'm not an idiot. You thought I didn't know about the things you did. The reason I didn't intervene was because I trusted Sarah to see you for who you really are. Otherwise, how could I trust her with Davis and her prizes? David Miller shook his head and stumbled back, his voice trembling. No, impossible. He knelt and grabbed my leg, begging for forgiveness. Sarah, please forgive me. I was a jerk / bastard, taking advantage of your love for me and hurting you without consequence. It's all my fault. Please forgive me. Only after you left me did I realize that I love you the most. Jessica Chin was just a toy to pass the time. I kicked him away forcefully. Touching him felt like it would contaminate me / my shoes. My father also looked at him with a look of disgust, having lost patience with him, and ordered the butler to drag him away. After David Miller left, my father walked up to Ryan Harris. You're Mr. Harris's son, aren't you? Ryan Harris nodded. I looked on with a look of curiosity, wondering how my father knew Ryan Harris's identity. Perhaps sensing my question, my father gave me a disappointed look / glared at me with frustration. He looks just like his father. I'm not blind like you. Mistaking trash for treasure / couldn't tell the difference between fake and real and getting bullied for so many years. If you don't get it together, I'll even consider donating Davis and her prizes. It's better than leaving it to a love-struck fool like you. I hugged my father's arm and acted spoiled / playful, hearing Ryan Harris's look of envy nearby. My father insisted that my marriage to Ryan Harris was too hasty / rushed into marriage. He wanted Ryan Harris to hold a grand wedding for me. Ryan Harris smiled and said yes. A month later, Ryan Harris and I had our wedding. Unexpectedly, David Miller rushed in with a knife at the wedding venue. He was completely not like his usual refined appearance. He was messy / disheveled all over, his chin covered in stubble. His eyes lit up when he saw me in the wedding dress. Then he glared fiercely at Ryan Harris. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, Sarah wouldn't have left me. As long as I kill you, Sarah can come back to me. Ryan Harris shielded me tightly behind him, afraid he'd go crazy and hurt me by mistake. Looking at David Miller's crazy appearance / behavior, my gaze was icy. David Miller, blame yourself for being disloyal and cruel / a cheater. You can't blame anyone else. Even without Ryan Harris, I wouldn't have been fooled by you again or stayed with you. David Miller glared at Ryan Harris and me, his eyes bloodshot with rage. The next second, he madly raised the knife and charged. Ryan Harris hurriedly shielded me and stepped back. David Miller was grabbed by the bodyguards who arrived just in time and held him down tightly on the ground. David Miller was still cursing nonstop. I leaned into Ryan Harris's arms, my body still trembling. After I calmed down, Ryan Harris called the police and David Miller was taken away. After we successfully finished the wedding, we began our global honeymoon. Looking at the man in front of me whose eyes are only for me, I smiled happily.